like we're sort of stuck in a bottle. I think it marks the sort of waiting out this uncertainty while we consolidate these gains, these really big, massive gains that we've had. Now, it's highly unlikely that the market will remain stalled, right? So we're in stall mode, folks. But by the end of the week, we probably will have some definition of where this market wants to go. Of course, we may or may not get trade deals, but the increased saber rattling and higher tariffs are not foiling this rally, right? We know that. And as we wait, major trading partners are no longer making public and transigent statements, right? No one's saying, oh, we'll fight back. No, they want to come and they want to do something because forget about it. Time for public relations in their own country is over. They need a deal. They need some closure. Meanwhile, though, this tariff revenue, look at that. Golly, look at that. That's just gobs and gobs of money. Over 10 years, we're talking a couple $1 trillion, building up pretty nicely. Of course, the market's also waiting for the latest inflation data. Speaking of tariffs, that's supposed to happen at any moment now. This will be the fourth CPI. We'll see if that happens this time. Also, we get retail sales and consumer sentiment this week. Earnings season going to be huge. It officially kicks off with the financials, especially focusing on those big banks. And there's the feud, of course, between Jay Powell and President Trump. Now, last week saw a real groundswell. Look at these stories, folks. These are stories concerning the egregious cost overruns at the Federal Reserve. And believe me, even the Fed acknowledges cost overruns, and there was even a scuttlebutt maybe about Powell being close to resigning. So that was on Friday. Over the weekend, the Fed said, OK, we'll kind of push back. And Nick Timmerose pointed this out, that they put some things on their website about what they're actually trying to do. They acknowledge the cost overruns. But also, I thought there was something interesting that Nick put out as well regarding a testimony that Jay Powell had given at one of these Humphrey Hawkins events. This is after during the first Jay Powell, first Donald Trump administration. In his book, $1 Trillion Triage, he talks about this conversation with Maxine Waters, in which Maxine Waters kind of goads him, right, suggesting that if the president says tomorrow, I'm firing you, pack up, it's time to go, would you go? He says, well, of course I would not do that, but he said it softly. And so then Waters says, I can't hear you. And he says, well, my answer would be no. But here's the interesting thing. In private, he was more explicit. He says, I will never, ever leave this job voluntarily until my term ends under any circumstance, he says, none whatsoever. You will not see me getting on a lifeboat. So it's pretty clear that Powell's taking a Captain Ahab approach to keeping his job, and President Trump is taking a Captain Ahab approach to replacing Powell.